Well, I'm having you watch Renaissance Man, and I'm not telling you really what's coming. I'm going to be asking you to watch parts 6 and 7 on YouTube for tomorrow. I'll tell you a couple things about that just to warn you. But I'm mostly wanting you to watch it, and then I'll point out, now did you notice these various things? And probably you mostly did. One thing though, I had mentioned exposition at the beginning of the movie. You have to figure out what's going on, or a movie or a play. I looked it up, and these are the 5 sections that are usually considered in a play: exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and denouement. Or the only way, I think you say it the French way, denouement. This is an O, which is kind of tying up of loose ends. Well, I don't think I'll write this out again, but you're going to see in this movie, you can pinpoint the climax of the movie. It's more than halfway through. I think it would sort of be in the 4th act, not the 3rd act. But anyway, that I'd said that I'd mentioned that. So I guess we'd be in the rising action now. Yeah, sure. Well, there are 8 soldiers, and tomorrow I'll list them. And you get to know a little bit about each one of these soldiers. They're 8 separate characters. They've got issues, as you're going to find out. There are also Bill Rago and Lou. I can't think of what his last name is. Lou Cass, the drill sergeant. These are also major characters. There are other characters too, but I want to sort them out, and I'll have quite a bit to say about these characters. Now, I wonder if you noticed, if you're listening close, there's all kinds of clever stuff in this movie. I wonder if you noticed that Benitez said, "They scare me." You had to be listening pretty close. But they were asking, why are you reading an Archie comic book? You could have read Superman or Batman, and he whispers, "They scare me." Or he says that, but you'd have to hear that, which is kind of funny. You know, a soldier, he's going to be a soldier, and those scare him. Literary devices. See, I think by now it should be pretty obvious to you. Well, you should know part of why I chose this movie in my class to show. It's certainly not just for entertainment. It's to teach. And by now you realize that Bill Rago is going to be teaching Hamlet to the double Ds. He has taught literary devices, a simile, a metaphor. Those are so standardly known by students by the time they come to me. I think partly because they're so easy to teach those literary devices. Oxymoron anymore, students would know what those were too. But they build a kind of a joke in here. An oxymoron is when you put 2 things together that are usually not, they seem to be opposites, and yet you put them together. Like parting is such sweet sorrow. Sweet sorrow. But anyway, military intelligence. That's kind of I think a famous joke on the military. These are the opposite. How could you have intelligence connected with the military? You know, it's a diss on the military. But they just go through that. A little bitty pig. One character, I think it's Montgomery, I think, says, "Oh yeah, Hamlet, ain't that about a little bitty pig?" Well, of course, that's the joke is Piglet, Hamlet. But I do want to point out that that's that diminutive that I taught about in linguistics. That lit on the end makes it little bitty. And I guess finally, you've seen now that conflict has begun between Bill Rago, the teacher, the college-educated teacher, and Lou Cass, the strict drill sergeant. And that becomes pretty central to the movie, the conflict between these two. And you'll see more of that develop. I did want to warn you, as you go on to look at these 2 parts, the F word is going to show up, and I always bleep that out. I hit the mute button, you know, so people wouldn't be saying, "Oh, you let your students hear the F word in public school." It's coming. When Lou Cass comes up, and Bill refers to him as Lou, right at that point I would mute it. You're going to hear the F word, and you'll hear some other swearing. But remember, I said the swearing gradually begins to go away, which is a very clever part of this movie. Well, I don't know if I've told you enough to keep you going. I would still like you to stop, if you can, at the end of section 7. And then tomorrow I'll go on. See you then.